I would like to talk about the gray wash. What exactly is gray wash and what's the nature of it, how it works exactly, right? So let's start with this slide. So as you can see, I'm trying to differentiate between the gray wash and the actual gray color. So you have two options to use while tattooing. One is you can use the opaque gray, which is the pure gray color, and the other one is the gray wash, which is the transparent black. Let's see. What is gray wash? Gray wash is a transparent shade of black which is made through mixing concentrated black ink with water in various proportions to get the desired transparency. The last two words are very important, desired transparency. Wherein the opaque gray is not transparent, that's opaque, which is made by mixing black and white ink pigment in various concentrations to get the desired gray shade. Again, last three words, very important. If you see the previous slide, the desired transparency. The next slide, the desired gray shade. Now, the gray tone is made in the ink cap because we are going to mix the black and white together. Depending on what kind of shade we want, we'll choose how much black and how much white goes in to make gray. So in terms of tattooing, it is mixed in ink cap, or we have a bottle. You take that gray and then you start putting it onto the skin and you color pack the ink. That means you put all the color like 100% into the skin. There is no transparency to it. Wherein if you see the gray wash, it uses the skin as the base color, right? And you start building the shades from there on. So you have that more flexibility to keep adding the shades until you find the desired output or desired tone or shade. I'm going to explain this in a better way using the Photoshop, and I'll use the transparent brush to explain that how exactly it works. So let's get on to this. So I have this white background and I'm gonna take the brush. So what I'm gonna do is, you'll also see this comparison later on, but think of the gray wash as defined earlier. The gray wash is the mix of black color and water. There is no white color in it. So you actually create a dilute ink, or you create the transparent black to create the gray wash. And so what I've done is I've tried to mimic the effect in the Photoshop brush. I'm gonna take the full black. Let me show you on screen. So take the full black, 100% black, and I'm going to take down the opacity of the brush to 20%. So what I have done is, think of an ink cap with 20% black and 80% water. So this is what I'm doing right now. Only 20% black and it is now transparent. Rest is water in our ink cap. I'll explain it when I actually show the gray wash, but this is very important. If you understand this, you can actually, if the entire, this is working of the gray wash, if you get it right in your mind, it's going to be a lot easier to do tattoos with, gray wash. Now, I've taken 20% black and I'm going to put first dot here. You see, alright, it's 18%, I'll just do it 20%. Up. 20. So I've taken 20% black. I'll just increase the brush size so you can see what exactly happens when you use a gray wash. So I've added the first layer, right, and looks kind of a light gray because it is using the background as base. Now if I add one more pass on it, so I'm adding one more pass on it, you see there is a little darker tone at the center which is created. Now let me do the same thing with 40% gray, because I think that will be much more visible for you guys to see it on screen. So this is 40% gray, that's the first dot, and the another 40%. Do you see, because both the colors are transparent, the center part is darker. If I add the third layer here, you see at the center it's getting darker. So if I keep adding the shades, eventually at the point where all your passes are intersecting with each other or mixing, overlaying on each other, you will get the full black color at the end. So every pass you put on skin is going to add the black color to the previous one, right? So that's the power of the transparency. Now, why did I explain this? Why it is important? Because it is unlike any other color or the opaque grays. And when you do opaque grays, you take a gray color and start pushing it into the skin, and the technique is color packing. So you color pack the entire skin, so all the cells or the entire skin is filled with color, and there is no more room for more color in case if you want to do a retouch or anything in the future. All the cells are already full because all the pigment is there inside. In this case, your skin is not actually filled with color. I mean, there is, now if you talk about an image, there are a lot of areas where there is empty space. Now when you do a opaque gray, you might have to put the whites in it, but with this you use the base as as a starting point, and from there you just build the shades of gray. You don't have to use whites, so you don't think about whites or grays. You just have to keep adding layers of dilute black till you get the right shade or desired shade. Let me explain this through an image. I love this portrait. It is one of the photographs I got from Pinterest, I guess. Now if you take a closer look on this, I'm going to mark few areas with red color so that it's easier for you to understand. So I'm going to take this. Now I'm going to mark the brightest areas. So if I see this forehead, this entire this area, all these areas are all white. Now if you're using a gray color, you'll end up working with the white color. You'll have to push a lot of color inside the skin. The more color packing you do with the lighter colors, it is harder for you to get a uniform fill. It's a simple rule, basics. If you have done color ever on skin, if you do a yellow color, like a full yellow color packing, it's hard to get a uniform color packed area. You put a lot of energy and time, and sometimes you tend to damage the skin because you don't get that uniformity. So this is not even yellow, I'm talking about white, the brightest color. You can't push white color into the skin. I mean, the highlights, small highlights here and there are okay to just brighten things up, but this level of whites, you can't just push it in the ink. Especially not on the Indian skin or the darker skin, right? If you are working on dark skin, this is impossible, almost impossible. So, and it is not recommended as well. Once the tattoo heals, anything or any color lighter than the skin tone, if you put it there, once it is healed, it will look muddy and patchy, because that's how the nature of the skin is. If you want to do great tattoos, your color tones, your values has to be darker than the given skin tone, and that's where the gray wash plays a very important role, because you don't have to worry about whether you're going lighter than the skin tone, because you're using the black shades and the base color is the skin color. So you're gonna just build the darker shades. There is no way to go down towards light, and anyway that doesn't work, as I said. So let's get rid of these markings. Now if I want to do this on, say, I got two hands to explain further. Alright, so I have a brighter skin and I have a fairly dark skin. I mean, it is darker than the Indian skin tone, right? So I have these hands and I have added the previous portrait on these skins. Let me show you. Do you see? Because there is no white color in it, the tattoo is using, or rather the grey wash you have used, it is using the skin color as the base color, and which looks fine on even on dark skin. Now if you try to bring this level of contrast on, just let me mark, if you try to brighten this one to this level, it's not possible, not even with whites. If you put the white color here, it's going to look funny. Let me show you how it will look. I'm just going to try. Let me clear this out for you. Do you wish to carry a tattoo like this, like white on the given skin? It looks odd. It looks like a cloth sleeve. Nobody is running behind this kind of thing. This is not okay. I mean, you can't push white color on dark skin and try to brighten up. It's gonna, I mean, it's, first of all, it is not possible because you can't get this kind of white on dark skin, and even if you try to push it, it's gonna heal all muddy. I mean, really bad. If you have seen tattoos online where they try to push whites on darker skin, it doesn't work. And I feel that, and this is kind of a most preferred option or most preferred technique used by world's top artists. Those people who do grey color portraits, they work only on really white fair skin, like Russian, like skin of the Russians, or the people who have white, really white skin, they are fair. And I have seen a lot of tattoos where people have, great artists have used white on the white skin, and it has healed patchy in few years. There's a lot of patches and it turns pale, it doesn't stay white. That's how our skin is. I mean, as soon as the skin is exposed to the sun, it develops the coat which makes it pale color and patchy. So this is not recommended. If you want to be greatest tattoo artist, this is not gonna work. Rather, let's turn it into what will work. This is where things look really interesting. If you have seen my work online, I have mostly worked on these kind of skins, and the output looks really good. And when you are using a grey wash, this is the effect you get, where the base, again I'll repeat it, the base is the skin color, and you start adding the greys layer by layer. So I'm gonna take these hands and I'll just show you what I did on a blank white canvas. So let's take this 40%, or let's say 30% gray, oh sorry, not gray, 30% black. So this is a dot, and then dot, and then dot. Wherever if I need black, I'll just keep adding. Even with the 30% black, I can achieve the full black. This is the power of transparency. If you use it wisely, these tattoos are gonna look good all its life. I mean, the one who is carrying it is gonna cherish the tattoo all his life. And if you understand that this, you know, the way it works, once you are aware of this technique, and now you are, because I showed you, things will change drastically in your tattooing. You don't have to worry about which ink has to be picked for what color. So even if you want to do the blacks, or rather I would say if you want to render a particular part where it contains black, you can still get the black using the 50% black cap. So if you're using, say for example, a 50% black ink, and if you do one pass, this is how it will look. If you do a second pass, look at the color in the between, and I'll do a third pass again on it, and the fourth pass on it. Look at the center, it is turning black. So this takes away your worries whether you're going to go really dark, or if you're confused, I mean, you have that space. You can start with light colors and you can build the shade. That's the best part using a gray wash. And this session was not only about comparison of gray wash and opaque grays. It was more about showing you what's the nature of the gray wash, how it works exactly. And if you know that, you can actually use it while tattooing. Once you understand it, it's way better when you are actually working on a tattoo, and execution is going to be much better. Now it's time to show you my gray wash shading, the palette. So I'm gonna set up my table right now, and I'm gonna go on break, like a 5 or 10 minutes break. I'll set things up, camera and all, and then you'll get to see how I make my custom gray wash, and I'll also talk about it, that how I build it. All right, before I close this session, before I jump onto the ink caps, I would like to show you this slide. And I missed out one point, is if you see the first point, it says it really easily moves into the skin. Now, because you're mixing the black with water and there is no other pigment, and it is not the purest form of color, it's dilute, thin, it's easy for skin to take it in. It's very, very smooth for the skin. If you're using a gray color, or for that matter any color in its purest form, it's going to be thick, harder for skin to take that color in. But because of the water, it's smooth, it goes easily, and that causes less damage to the skin. Now, there are a few studies which says that if you do, try to shade with only water, you see a lot of redness. First of all, that you don't want to do that. Why would you take only water and do on skin? Secondly, there will be no redness if you know how to use your needle, your machine, and your technique. If you're good at your technique, your skin is not going to go red. I'm going to talk about the skin redness phenomena and how to avoid it later in this webinar. So these are the 5 points which are important, and that's why I recommend the gray wash for any kind of photorealism work. It easily moves into the skin. It gives you a better control on building the shades, because you can work with lighter shades and start building it, kind of rendering. It is best for all skins. It doesn't matter if it is a dark skin or a brighter skin, it works on all skins. And as I mentioned, the lower, because the color moves, or the pigment moves easily into the skin, the damage is less. You have more flexibility to work on that part again and again. And even the retouches later on, if you do, like I prefer doing retouch to my tattoos after 1 year. And so this technique, or using a gray wash with right techniques, gives you much more flexibility to do good retouches. You don't blow out the skin or cells. You don't smudge out after, you know, there are a lot of cases when people get a retouch, the tattoo blows out, it smudges, it goes blurry a little bit because you're pushing too much ink inside. In this case, that doesn't happen. It works well. And because of less damage and things are better for skin, the healing is awesome. If your client follows a right aftercare, healing is great. And my experience, real experience, previously my tattoo used to heal lighter. I'm talking about like 5-6 years old tattoos, and they used to heal lighter. Trust me, I am happy with it because I have space to improvise that work. I can darken it out now. There is no problem. Going darker directly or using opaque grays and then realize once you see the healed tattoo, oh, that's now the tattoo has gone darker. There is no way to bring it down, right? In this case, if you're new into tattooing and even if you go lighter initially and your tattoo heals a little lighter, that's okay. You have an option to retouch it. Now, this is not a recommended method as such. This is not what I recommend. I'm sharing my own personal experience. So when I was learning photorealism, when I was getting into it, you know, I was getting better and better. I have seen this phase, and I don't have customers who are not satisfied as such, because the only thing happened is everything is in place. The tattoo is a little lighter. They can come back. I can push more ink. Skin is fine. Everything is fine. It heals great. No problem. So if you're a starter, if your tattoos are going light, that's okay. Every time the tattoo goes light, there has to be learning happening in your mind. So you know what you have done on the tattoo the first time. The next time you see it has gone lighter, that means you know that what shade has to be darker, how much black has to be pushed in, and so on and so forth. So you learn with it. But I get that flexibility. You will get that flexibility through this technique.